Okay, so now we're in the second passage of the ACT English test. Question number 16. Let's begin by reading it as is. Seeing remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era, they are called ghost signs. Now, that sounds awkward, and for most students, all of these answer choices sound awkward. Of course, we can go to the most concise, right? Find the most concise answer, and then we could subvocalize that like we do if we're not really sure what to do, right? Pick the one with the least amount of words, subvocalize. Find the one with the least amount of words, hear how that sounds, which is what subvocalize does, and then if that sounds correct, pick that answer. The only problem with that is most students find this awkward even with the word remnants. Remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era, they are called ghost signs. And you would be right, it would sound a bit awkward. So if that didn't lead you to the right answer, then I'm going to show you something else. The real reason why 3 of these answer choices are wrong, and that has to do with a concept called misplaced modifiers. And I recommend that you grab a sheet of paper and then you write down a few of these examples, or at least copy down what misplaced modifiers are in order to make sure that we get these right in the future. Okay, so why don't you read this one and then read this one here. Take a minute, and I really want you to see the subtleties of the differences between these 2 sentences. Okay, if you need more time, just pause it. So here it says we almost lost the entire investment. Now, as it's written, I would assume I would still have the investment, but I almost lost it. In this case, we lost almost the entire investment. So here I lost part of it. I didn't lose the whole investment. So depending on where I put this modifying word almost will change the meaning of the sentence entirely. Okay, so I hope that part makes sense. Let's continue on to the next one. I nearly eat breakfast every morning. It means, well, I never eat breakfast. I almost do, but I just can't quite get there. Where correctly placed, I eat breakfast nearly every morning. Okay, in this event, I eat breakfast most mornings, but I miss some of them. Okay, I hope you see the parallels between these 2. Let's move on. Some of these can be pretty comical. She is the person who can only fix your operating system. So it's as if she's, right, that's all that she can do. She is the only person. She is the person who can only fix your operating system. Or she is the only person who can fix your operating system. Now that makes more sense. It means no one else can fix it, only she can. Here it says that that's the only thing that she can do. Okay, so let's read this one. Why don't you read this now that you understand the theme here, and tell me what's wrong with this sentence. According to this sentence, who is badly stained and missing a leg? Well, it's Tina, right? Badly stained and missing a leg. Tina bid $15 for the old table. Well, that sounds awkward, right? It's probably not. We're not talking about Tina. We're talking about the table. So this is how I would need to write this. Tina bid $15 for the old table. Badly stained and missing a leg. Okay. So why does this one reflect Tina and this one reflect table? Well, that's because this whole modifier is next to this. I'll just say this is a subject. I don't know, just say it's a noun. It's right next to this noun. And that, in this case, the modifier being next to the noun is modifying this noun. In this case, this is the noun and this is the modifier. Notice how the modifier is next to table instead of Tina. Okay, so for this one here, she is the only person who can only fix your operating machine. She is the person who can only fix your operating machine. This is the modifier, and this is the verb. And here, nearly is the modifier, and here is the adjective. All right, so now we're in passage number 2 of the ACT English test. Let's begin. Question number 16 reads as follows. Seeing remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era, they are called ghost signs. Now, most of us would agree that that sounds awkward. And again, if you're not sure what to do, of course, you can do this concision technique where you find the most concise answer, the shortest one. We would subvocalize that right here, how it sounds. If it sounds correct, pick it and you can move on. This works 80% of the time. Of course, the shortest one would be J, remnants. Let's hear how that sounds. Remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era, they are called ghost signs. Now, most students aren't convinced that that sounds correct. And that's why this concision subvocalization technique doesn't work 100% of the time. You can't hear how it sounds unless you have a very well-trained ear for this. And the reason why is because all of these answer choices reflect a common theme called misplaced modifiers. And usually misplaced modifier questions can't be heard by ear. We have to understand the context of the sentence to make sense of them. I'm going to show you some examples and then we'll run through this question again. Take a look at this sentence and figure out what the subtle differences between them are. Okay, if you need more time, you can pause it, but let's read them as they're written. We almost lost the entire investment, or we lost almost the entire investment. In this first case, it says that we almost lost it, but we still have it. So it looks like we still have our entire investment. In the second case, we lost almost the entire investment, means we lost most of it, but we still have a little bit left. All right, so the placement of this modifier, the word that's modifying the adjacent word, has a big effect on how the sentence reads. Here, let's go to this next example. I nearly eat breakfast every morning. Well, that means that I never eat breakfast, but I nearly do. Or is this one more appropriate? I eat breakfast nearly every morning. That definitely sounds more appropriate. So I nearly eat breakfast, or I eat breakfast nearly every morning. Okay, this one means I eat it most mornings, but sometimes I skip. Okay, so let's move on. This one's a little weird. She is the person who can only fix your operating system. It's as if that's all that she can do. But that doesn't make sense. Let's read the next one. She is the only person who can fix your operating system. That makes more sense. She's the only one that can fix it. Now that we've gone through a couple examples so you can see how changing the location of this modifier affects the meaning of the sentence, here are the general rules. So the modifier, right, needs to be placed next to the word that it's modifying. When it's next to the word it's modifying, you don't have modifier ambiguity. And that just means it's not unclear what the modifier is supposed to be modifying. In this case, you might assume that we don't mean that's all that she can do. You might have assumed that it means only she can fix the operating system. That's because the sentence structure-wise, right, even though it's not correct, we can infer the meaning behind what we were trying to say. But if we're going to be strict about our modifier placement, then we need to make sure that we place our modifier next to the word that it's modifying. And the ACT likes to give us questions just like this. Now, here is an example, and this example is much like the one in question number 16 that we're going to go to next. Badly stained and missing a leg. Remember, the modifier is placed next to the thing it's modifying. But if we read this sentence, Tina bid $15 for the old table, what do you think is badly stained and missing a leg? Is it Tina or is it the old table? Right, it's the old table. And if you were reading this, you might assume that they were talking about the old table. It's the only thing that makes sense. But the way that it's written, it's Tina that's badly stained and missing a leg, which is incorrect. So we need to correctly place this modifier next to table instead of Tina. Tina bid $15 for the old table, badly stained and missing a leg. Okay, so by now I think you get the point. Why don't you just take a look at this last one? I stayed with friends who have a swimming pool for a week. They have a swimming pool for a week. That's interesting. Okay, so I wonder what happened to the swimming pool. Correctly placed. I stayed for a week with friends who have a swimming pool. Okay, that sounds much better. All right, so now let's go to this question number 16. And we recognize that this whole part of the sentence right here, consider this our modifier, and it would be modifying this word they. Before you figure out if it makes sense to modify they, we have to know what they are. They are called go signs. Okay, so they're signs on the side of the road. So let's just make sure that we understand that these are signs, like road signs. And now, why don't you run through these answer choices and then figure out which one is correct. Okay, so let's read answer choice F, seeing remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era. They are called go signs. So can signs see things? Well, I don't think so. So answer choice F would not be correct. The site of remnants of outdoor advertisements from bygone era, signs, right? They're called signs. They are called go signs, right? That wouldn't work either, right? Because they can't see. Again, they can't see. Signs are objects, right? They don't have eyes, so they can't see things. But signs are remnants of outdoor advertisements from a bygone era. They are called go signs. So what they're saying here in answer choice J is that these signs are actually remnants of outdoor advertisements from some time long ago. That would make sense, and it would correctly modify they, which refers to the signs. So this is a case of modifier placement. And if this concision subvocalization technique doesn't make sense because they all sound a bit off, remember that these are all examples of misplaced modifiers, and you want to be looking for these types of errors as you read through the questions on the ACT English test. So if you're not quite familiar with misplaced modifiers, I recommend you take down some notes on this so you ensure that you're primed to look for this information in the future. Thank you.